I'm live. Hey, we are here tonight. This is a flawed man talking to you, a flawed man of God. This is my channel that I have created because I am here to offer exposure of the thoughts, feelings, reactions of what I consider a normal Christian or average Christian, and give that kind of insight. My name's Stuart Davis. I am a flawed man. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I am not a biblical scholar. I am not a pastor. I am not a missionary of any sorts. I'm not trying to get you to join my congregation or donate to any special cause or charity. What I am here to do is, like I said, create exposure and give people the kind of idea that might clear up misconceptions that they might have if they're curious or have a desire to start a relationship with God, but think that it might be something that they find uncomfortable, or the people that they would be surrounding themselves with might be odd or eccentric. Well, I can't promise that that's not the case. To me, a normal person is just someone you don't know very well. But at the same time, I can express to you that Christians are normal people who have decided to start a relationship with God, to seek Him out and do what they can. The folks who are really in it, doing the right things, trying to better themselves and just do a better job. Um, being people who love God and love each other, and that's what it is. We go through the same trials and tribulations that everybody else does, and it's just you know where we think it's coming from, where we believe, and we want as many folks to populate heaven as possible. So, and with that said, uh, this is my channel and my effort to do so. um, this particular series is set up um, as a walkthrough of the Bible, um, cover to cover, verse by verse, um, live stream by live stream, and we this is just where we're going through, and I'm giving my reactions and my input, just from a straight read, and this has been something that I've found very rewarding. Hopefully other folks are finding it rewarding as well. That's really most of the point behind it. Now, having said that, we are coming off of last night, in which we had a very long stream, and our guest, Mr. Eric Roland, did an excellent job coming on here and giving us his thoughts and sharing his research on the Nephilim, which, with you guys will recall if you've been following the stream at all, the Nephilim are mentioned throughout the Old Testament, but specifically they pop up in Genesis, and there's not really a whole lot of coverage or explanation on who they are. You're just almost expected to know who they are. In the Genesis, the translation that it gives, at least in the translation that I have, doesn't translate very well because it makes them sound almost like good guys. It's like, okay, angels, they came down, they had babies with people, and now they're great mighty. The babies are great mighty warriors and heroes. That's not the case. They were very mighty, and but they were not heroes in the sense that we would look upon them as kindly folks. They were despicable in the eyes of God. But they all get destroyed in the flood, so we think that's the expectation there. But they can't. They seem to pop up again after the flood. So Eric came on and gave us some theories to work on, and that he has done his great research on. We had an awesome conversation. It derailed a little bit, but that's what happens when you have a good conversation going on. So, but one of the things after the show, we spoke a little bit, and we had talked before about it before then. We are definitely going to be doing some more of those shows as frequently as I can make them manage. But right now, I think what we're going to be shooting for is once every couple of weeks, have this on and go from there. Um, Other than that, we are getting closer and closer to Christmas, which is a great time of the year for me. I love the celebration goes behind it. I love being in the town that I'm in, being in the area that I am. You can't throw a stick in this place without hitting a church, and So that means there is a greater understanding of the true nature and the true reason we celebrate Christmas, which makes all of the fanfare and all of the lights and all of the celebration even more enjoyable. So, haven't decided yet. I would love to have a stream on here with me and a couple other folks, just to kind of give our thoughts. Maybe not tomorrow night, but Thursday night would be a good night. Um, the night before Christmas Eve, just have some folks on where we talk about our thoughts on Christmas in general, and the state of Christmas, and how what it means to us. That would to me would be a very good stream. Something similar to what, as far as the conversation, very similar to what I did with Eric, and that would to me, I think that would be awesome. But I just need folks to show up. That I'm working on now. Um, Going now back to the purpose and the reason that we are watching, or we are reading through this episode. We are going to talk Exodus 7, and we went through a little bit of seven. I broke my rule a little bit. I like to end at the end of a chapter, but the end of chapter 6 didn't exactly go leave on a note that made sense. So we went into 7 a little bit, but stopped as soon as we had a stopping point of that there. We're going to go a little long tonight because we're going to cover all of the plagues, well, almost all of the plagues, all of the works that God did to Egypt to convince them to let the Israelites, the Hebrews, go at Moses' request, and not just Moses' requests, not just at Moses' request, but God's request, and not really. And when we say request, it's kind of like as a parent to a kid when they're telling them to do something. It's not a request. I'm telling you to do something. This is instructions. Pharaoh, on the other hand, he's very full of himself. He's a king. He's used to getting his way. He's used to giving orders, not getting them. So he is taken aback by this, and he has said a big no. So, with that said, here we go. Exodus chapter 7, we're going to start with verse 8. Aaron's staff becomes a snake. So, Moses has taught his snake trick to Aaron. And Aaron, if you recall, Moses has a bit of a speech impediment of some sort. He is a shy guy when it comes to public speaking or speaking to people in general. So he is at the so when God tells Moses, "Let's I need you to go talk to Pharaoh," Moses goes, I'm not really good at this. This is not really my forte." Um, this is the time where we see this is really kind of the first time we see someone talk back to. Well, no, I don't think it is the first time. It's got to be one of the first time we see Moses talk back, or someone talk back to God when God tells him, gives him a command. With Noah, build an ark. Okay, Abraham, pick up everything you're doing and go into the land of Canaan. Okay. I guess Lot kind of, or no, Abraham talks it back a little bit, but he's negotiating when it comes to Sodom and Gomorrah. Um, yeah, I just Abraham, hey, sacrifice your boy Isaac. I don't want to, but I'm gonna, and not really say anything about it. I'm just gonna be really sad and depressed and emotional. It's, there's just not a whole lot of it. Moses, on the other hand, he's gonna question it. Please don't send me. I'm not. This is not. I'm not the guy to do this. God goes, don't worry about it. I got you all set up. Moses presses. God says, fine. I'll send Aaron with you, and he can be the mouthpiece. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when Pharaoh says to you, perform a miracle, then say to Aaron, take your staff and throw it down before Pharaoh, and it would become a snake. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and did just as the Lord commanded. Aaron threw his staff down in front of Pharaoh and his officials, and it became a snake. Ha! Look at this cool thing I did. Pharaoh then summoned wise men and sorcerers, and the Egyptian magicians also did the same things by their secret arts. Each one threw down his staff, and it became a snake. But Aaron's staff swallowed up their staffs. Yet Pharaoh's heart became hard, and he would not listen to them, just as the Lord had said. So we're going to touch. This is something I want to touch on just briefly while we're going over it. We see uh, the reference to sorcerers and magicians. There are a lot of folks in the Christian community who do not believe in magic, and uh, while I understand that position, my understanding is if God has told you specifically not to practice something, which He does later on in the Bible, if he specifically tells you not to practice something, it's probably because it's not something that's made. It's probably not because it's a made up thing. It's probably a real thing. Now, magic as we understand it today, who knows? But what we can see here is Pharaoh definitely has some folks in his court dabbling in the dark arts. So, Aaron, haha, look at my cool snakes trick. Woo! Yeah. Pharaoh goes, "Oh, please. I got guys who can do that." So he brings his guys. All right, guys, everybody does the snake trick too. But Aaron's staff is the alpha staff, and the alpha staff is the alpha snake, and the alpha snake uh, swallows up all those beta snakes and it makes Pharaoh look bad, right? And he probably is really pissed off at his sorcerers afterwards. But pride's getting the better of him. I don't like being showed up. Just because you do that doesn't mean you're going to get your way. In fact, I'm going to double down. No, no, we're not letting your people go. Then the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is unyielding. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he goes out to the river. Confront him on the bank of the Nile and take in your hand the staff that was changed into a snake. Then say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to say to you, let my people go so that they may worship me in the wilderness. But until now, you have not listened. This is what the Lord says. Let me let me share my screen because I just realized I'm not doing that. This is what the Lord says. By this you will know that I am the Lord. With the staff that is in my hand, I will strike the water of the Nile, and it will be changed into blood. The fish in the Nile will die, and the river will stink. Yeah, it will. The Egyptians will not be able to drink its water. No, they won't. Uh, bunch. Look, you ever been to a near a dock with a bunch of dead fish around there? It smells terrible. Not only that, there's a lot of seagulls around. They're eating everything. It's smelly, and you're not drinking that water either. And it is gross. And not only that, fish die. You can't eat them. You can't eat dead fish. You, not in that way. The Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron, take your staff and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over the streams and canals, over the ponds and all the reservoirs, and they will turn to blood. Blood will be everywhere in Egypt, even in vessels of wood and stone. Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord had commanded. He raised his staff in the presence of Pharaoh and his officials and struck the water of the Nile, and all the water was changed into blood. The fish in the Nile died, and the river smelled so bad that the Egyptians could not drink its water. Blood was everywhere in Egypt. But the Egyptian magicians did the same things by their secret arts, and Pharaoh's heart became hard. He would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said. Instead, he turned and went into his palace and did not even take this to heart. All the Egyptians, all the Egyptians dug along the Nile to get drinking water because they could not drink the water of the river. Stubborn. Number one, stubborn. Number two, did we just hear that the magicians did this? The Egyptian magicians did the same thing by their secret arts. Does that mean they made more blood and they made that river stink more? Seems a little counterproductive there. This is very disgusting. You'd think rivers made of blood. That is gross. No, yeah, probably not just the smell of dead fish. The smell of blood is not appetizing at all, unless you're really in the twilight, I guess. Blood was everywhere in Egypt, and look, Pharaoh's a very prideful guy, and we know the Egyptians are, and we know how they viewed the Hebrews even before they were put into slavery. They were second class. They weren't exactly citizens, but they were second class human beings. Um, so they're not gonna just give in on this. So they're just like, all right, they didn't just dig in to into the Nile or along the Nile to get drinking water. They dug into their pride and dug in to withstand this plague. 7 days passed after the Lord struck the Nile. Doesn't say the plague is over. The plague of frogs is next. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, 'This is what the Lord says: Let my people go, so that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go, I will send a plague of frogs on your whole country. The Nile will teem with frogs. They will come up into your palace and your bedroom and onto your bed and into the houses of your officials and onto your people and onto your into your ovens and kneading troughs. The frogs will come up on you and your people and all of your officials.'" Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, stretch out your hand with your staff over the streams and canals and ponds and makes frogs come up on the land of Egypt." So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land. But the magicians did the same things by their secret arts. They also made frogs come up upon the land of Egypt. So we're making more frogs. They're just worsening. Is this? Oh yeah, I can do. I can deal with worse. We're just gonna have more frogs out here. Also, since there's blood everywhere too, these are blood covered frogs. This probably even just adds to the inconvenience, right? I don't know. I'm sure it's probably just a massive headache to just be overwhelmed with frogs. But I mean, I never felt frogs were that disgusting. Like I don't want them crawling over my countertop and my kneading troughs where I'm making my bread. That's very unsanitary. But um, this is just to me, it's just a weird thing. I mean, like it's definitely an expression of power because you just make them come out of nowhere. But this isn't this isn't really like a plague where I'm like worried about my immediate safety. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Pray to the Lord to take the frogs away from me and my people, and I will let your people go to offer sacrifices to the Lord." Moses said to Pharaoh, "I leave to you the honor of setting the time for me to pray for you and your officials and your people, that you and your houses may be rid of the frogs, except for those that remain in the Nile." "Tomorrow," Pharaoh said. Moses replied, "It will be as you say, so that you may know that there is no one like the Lord our God. The frogs will leave you and your houses, your officials and your people. They will remain only in the Nile, in the blood." After Moses and Aaron left Pharaoh, Moses cried out to the Lord about the frogs he had brought on Pharaoh. And the Lord did what Moses asked. The frogs died in the houses, in the courtyards, and in the fields. They were piled into heaps, and the land reeked of them. I was about to say, what a smell. But when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said. Maybe, or maybe he was just had no intention of letting them go. "You fool! Why would you believe me?" The plague of gnats. That would piss me off. I don't know how many of you live in an area where there's when you get like the gnat swarms. These are disgusting. They're everywhere. Ugh. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the ground, and throughout the land of Egypt the dust will become gnats." They did this, and when Aaron stretched out his hand with the staff and struck the dust of the ground, gnats came upon the people and animals. All the dust throughout the land of Egypt became gnats. That's a very dusty area. Um, but when the magicians tried to produce gnats by their secret arts, they could not. Ha! Gotcha. Since the gnats were on people and animals everywhere, the magician said to Pharaoh, "This is the finger of God." But Pharaoh's heart was hard and he would not listen, just as the Lord had said. Gross. Look, gnats. Oh, we see the plague of flies coming up. Flies are annoying. Gnats are the worst. They go up your nostrils, they get in your ear, and they get stuck there. You try to talk to somebody, they get into your mouth. It's gross. Try cutting the grass in the summer and running through just a swarm of them, and you know exactly how annoying and irritating it is. Now, combine that by all the dust in Egypt, not exactly a jungle area. It's not exactly the the temperate zone that we generally live in here in America. But I would be out of my mind, irritated and upset with this. At this is like the blood would probably have set me off, but the blood didn't get me. The frogs probably wouldn't have. The gnats would have been Okay, get these Hebrews out of here. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning and confront Pharaoh as he goes to the river and say to him, 'This is what the Lord says: Let my people go so that they may worship me. If you do not let my people go, I will send swarms of flies on you and your officials, on your people and into your houses. The houses of the Egyptians will be full of flies, even the ground will be covered with them. But on that day I will deal differently with the land of Goshen, where my people live. Their swarms of flies will be there, so that you will know that I, the Lord, am in this land. I will make a distinction between my people and your people. This sign will occur tomorrow.' And the Lord did this. Dense swarms of flies poured into Pharaoh's place and in the houses of his officials throughout Egypt. The land was ruined by flies. It's lousy with them. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, 'Go sacrifice to your God here in the land.' But Moses said, 'That would not be right. The sacrifices we offered the Lord our God would be detestable to the Egyptians. And if we offer sacrifices that are detestable in their eyes, will they not stone us? We must take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, as he commands us.' Pharaoh said, 'I will let you go to offer sacrifices to the Lord your God in the wilderness, but you must not go very far. Now pray for me.' Moses said, this is like, yeah, you can go, just don't go that far because you're still slaves and we still need you to be here to do the things that we want you to do for free." Moses answered, "As soon as I leave you, I will pray to the Lord, and tomorrow the flies will leave Pharaoh and his officials and his people. Only let Pharaoh to be sure that he does not act deceitfully again by not letting the people go to offer sacrifices to the Lord." Then Moses left Pharaoh and prayed to the Lord. And the Lord did what Moses asked. The flies left Pharaoh and his officials and his people. Not a fly remained. But this time also Pharaoh hardened his heart and would not let the people go. All right, look, I get the pride thing. I get the fact that you're a king. I get the fact that you probably have a God complex going on. Almost certainly have one. But you should know at this point you are dealing with forces way beyond you and your capabilities. Why are you still doing this? Pride goeth, man. Pride is a terrible thing when it comes to leadership. Woo! The plague on livestock. Oh man, don't mess with my burgers. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, 'This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says: Let my people go so that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go and continue to hold them back, the hand of the Lord will bring a terrible plague on your livestock in the field, on your horses, donkeys, and camels.'" Well, the horses. And you're not messing with my burgers, you're messing with my Taco Bell then. "Donkeys and camels, and on your cattle, sheep, and goats. But the Lord will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and that of Egypt, so that no animal belonging to the Israelites will die." The Lord set a time and said, "Tomorrow the Lord will do this to the land." And the next day the Lord did it, because of course he did exactly what he said he was going to do. All the livestock of the Egyptians died, but not one animal belonging to the Israelites died. Pharaoh investigated and found that not even one of the animals of the Israelites had died. Yet his heart was unyielding, and he would not let the people go. Okay. Plague of boils. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Take handfuls of soot from a furnace and have Moses toss it into the air in the presence of Pharaoh. It will become a fine dust over the whole land of Egypt, and festering boils will break out on people and animals throughout the land." So they took soot. Took soot. They took soot from a furnace and stood before Pharaoh. Moses tossed it in the air. I guess and the festering boils broke out on the people and the animals. The magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils that were on them and all the Egyptians. But the Lord had hardened the Pharaoh's heart, and he would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said to Moses, "If I was not covered in boils, I would be in Pharaoh's courtroom with a pitchfork with all my boys saying, 'Get out of here. This is terrible. Look, the gnats, they're bad. Frogs, who cares? We got a smelly Nile River. We've got to dig to get drinking water. We've got these gnats. They were disgusting. You finally took care of them. Then we got a plague on livestock. All sorts of food we can't eat. And now we got a plague of boils. And now look, I am super allergic to poison ivy. Probably poison. It's probably poison oak, but I'm super allergic to it. When I get it, it goes everywhere and it boils up and weeps. It is the most miserable experience I can think of. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. We talked about this with leprosy. Ugh, terrible. If this is going on, and I know that that Pharaoh isn't the guy who's in charge of my people is the reason that this is continuing, man. Look, I like somebody having to dress me in the morning and do all the work that I don't have that I don't want to do. Man, I don't want to feel this way. I'd rather go ahead and do what I want, right? That's if I was the pharaohs. If I was an Egyptian perspective, look, I got these folks, and they're doing everything. This is a nice thing that we've got going on here. We don't want to give it up. Man, you lost me at boils. That's another like just a full stop. Get me off of this ride. Um, the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils that were on them, and the Lord. Okay, we already covered that. Plague of hail. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning, confront Pharaoh, and say to him, 'This is what the Lord, the God of Hebrews, says: Let my people go so that they may worship me. For this time I will send the full force of my plagues against you and against your officials and your people, so that you may know that there is no one like me in all the earth. For by now I could have stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with a plague that would have wiped you off the earth. But I have raised you up for this very purpose, that I might show you my power and that my name might be proclaimed in all the earth. You still set yourself against my people and will not let them go. Therefore, at this time tomorrow, I will send the worst hailstorm that has ever fallen on Egypt from the day it was founded till now. Give an order now and bring your livestock and everything you have into the field to a place of shelter, because the hail will fall on every person and animal that has not been brought in and is still out in the field, and they will die.'" That's a serious hailstorm. Basically a stoning from God because these are ice blocks out of the heavens. Ugh, not a good way to go. Look, and he's talking about people dying now. We're not talking about livestock dying. We're not talking about fish dying. We're not talking about disgusting water. We're talking about people dying. God is losing his patience. He already knows what's going on, but at the same time, it's probably irritating for him to go through this. Um, Look, this is gonna happen. Those officials of Pharaoh who feared the word of the Lord hurried to bring their slaves and their livestock inside. But those who ignored the word of God left their slaves and livestock in the field. I wonder, the slaves, the Hebrews? Eeh. I mean, the Hebrews weren't the only slaves they had at that point. Oh, we're at 9. We're getting closer, guys. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand toward the sky so that the hail will fall over Egypt, on the people and animals, and on everything growing in the fields of Egypt." When Moses stretched out his staff towards the sky, the Lord set thunder and hail, and lightning flashed down to the ground. So the Lord rained hail on the land of Egypt. Hail fell, and lightning flashed back and forth. It was the worst storm in all the land of Egypt since it had become a nation. Throughout Egypt, hail struck everything in the fields, both people and animals. It beat down everything growing in the fields and stripped every tree. The only place it did not hail was the land of Goshen, where the Israelites were. You see this big wall of hail pouring down into this like circular area where Goshen is, and everybody's just chilling out there, probably barbecuing. It's like, man, this lovely weather we're having today. Good thing it's not hailing. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron. "This time I have sinned. You think?" He said to them, "The Lord is in the right, and I and my people are in the wrong. Pray to the Lord, for we have had enough thunder and hail. I will let you go. You do not have to stay any longer." Tell me what I don't already know. Moses replied, "When I have gone out of the city, I will spread out my hands in prayer to the Lord. The thunder will stop, and there will be no more hail, so that you may know that the earth is the Lord's. But I know that and your officials still do not fear the Lord God." The flax and barley were destroyed, since the barley had headed and the flax was in bloom. The wheat and spelt, however, were not destroyed because they ripened later. Then Moses left Pharaoh and went out of the city. He spread out his hands toward the Lord. The thunder and hail had stopped, and the rain no longer poured down on the land. Wonder if it was raining blood. When the Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail had thundered had stopped, he sinned again. He and his officials hardened their hearts, so that Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he would not let the Israelites go, just as the Lord had said through Moses. Look, there is nothing wrong at this point with being salty. You have every right to be salty. Um, you're being shown up and you're being overpowered by the Lord God Almighty. Might want to put a little bit of love in your heart, and maybe this goes differently. Probably not, because if you had love in your heart and if you were really wise about this, you wouldn't be keeping the Israelites, the Hebrews, or whoever you want to call them at this point, the sons of Jacob, the tribes of Israel. Um, you wouldn't be keeping them hostage. You would have let them go. And you would probably be bitter about it, but you'd be bitter without all this problems, like a plague of locusts. Look, folks, I don't know if y'all ever seen a plague of locusts before. They are destructive. Very think of when you see things like army ants, carpenter ants going through and just laying waste to animals that get in the way. They just tear that whole body down. Locusts do that to entire fields. Entire crops are lost. This still happens to this day every once in a while. Um, but when this happens, man, this is especially in ancient times. This is devastating, devastating. Not to mention they're flying everywhere. It's disgusting. I don't like bugs. This is disgusting. But the very real thing to be worried about is now your food source is in serious trouble because we've already got dead fish. We've already got um, destroyed barley. Now we've got locusts getting ready to roll through. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his officials, so that I may perform these signs of mine among them, that you may tell your children and grandchildren how I dealt harshly with the Egyptians and how I performed my signs among them, and that you may know that I am the Lord." So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said to him, "This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says. How long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go so that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go, I will bring locusts in your country tomorrow. They will cover the face of the ground so that it cannot be seen. They will devour what little you have left after the hail, including every tree that is growing in your fields. They will fill your houses and those of all your officials and all the Egyptians, something neither your parents nor your ancestors have ever seen from the day they settled in this land till now." Then Moses turned and left Pharaoh. Oh, that's true. They probably haven't seen that destruction since uh, Ham was on the boat, and he was the one who fathered Egypt, who's created the civilization of Egypt. Uh, Pharaoh's officials said to him, "How long will this man be a snare to us? Let the people go so that they may worship their Lord, the Lord their God. Do you not yet realize that Egypt is ruined?" Dude, guys, where were y'all like 3 plagues ago? Then Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh. "Go worship the Lord your God," he said, "but tell me, who will we be going?" Moses answered, "We will go with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, and with our flocks and herds, because we are to celebrate a festival to the Lord." Festival of showing you up, you chump. King Chump of Chump Gypt. E Chump. Pharaoh said, "The Lord be with you. And if I let you go, along with your women and children, clearly you are bent on evil." Yeah. "No, have only the men go and worship the Lord, since that's what you have been asking for." That's actually not. Then Moses and Aaron were driven out of Pharaoh's presence. Okay. God shows you a fraction of his power. It's crippling your nation. And then he's been asking for the same thing over and over. "Let my people go." And Pharaoh goes, "Maybe I'll meet you halfway. I don't really like your terms." Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how this pays off, if this pays off for him. And the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over Egypt so that locusts swarm over the land and devour everything growing in the fields, everything left by the hail." So Moses stretched out his staff over Egypt, and the Lord made an east wind blow across the land all that day and all that night. By morning, the wind had brought the locusts. They invaded all Egypt and settled down in every area of the country in great numbers. Never before had there been such a plague of locusts, nor will there ever be again. They covered all the ground until it was black. They devoured all that was left after the hail, everything growing in the fields and the fruit on the trees. Nothing green remained on the tree or plant in all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh quickly summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Now forgive my sin once more and pray to the Lord your God to take this deadly plague away from me." Moses then left Pharaoh and prayed to the Lord. And the Lord changed the wind to a very strong west wind, which caught up the locusts and carried them into the Red Sea. Not a locust was left anywhere in Egypt, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites go. We talk a lot. We've seen this mentioned a couple of times that God's talking about hardening the heart of Pharaoh, and this would be something I'd love. I'm very much a free will advocate of the meaning behind Christianity. I think that we have free will, and that is a very distinct and precious thing to us. That God, I don't really think God would violate, but it sounds to me like He's doing that here. So I'm very interested to see what other translations mean of this, and what the theories are concerning free will and how it relates to things like here. Because this is not the only time in the Bible that you will hear God hardening the heart of somebody. The next one I think will be Saul. But look, I brought these locusts in here, and I'm gonna take them all out. It's they. I command these plagues. He's making it very clear. The plague of darkness. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand towards the sky so that darkness spreads over Egypt, darkness that can be felt." Damn. So Moses stretched out his hand toward the sky, and a total darkness covered all Egypt for 3 days. No one could see anyone else or move about for 3 days. Yet all the Israelites had light in the places where they had lived. Ha ha! Can you see that? If it's is it so dark that you can't see where it's light, or if it's so dark the only place that you can see there being light is Israel, like that, like or the Goshen, where the Israelites are. You can see that in the distance, but you can't move anything else. Darkness that can be felt. How black is that? Daggone it. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, "Go worship the Lord. Even your women and children may go with you. Leave only your flocks and your herds behind." But Moses said, "You must allow us to have sacrifices and burnt offerings to present to the Lord our God. Our livestock too must go with us. Not a hoof is to be left behind. We have to use some of them in worshiping the Lord our God. And until we get there, we will not know what we are going to we are going we will not know what we are to use to worship the Lord." But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he was not willing to let them go. Pharaoh said to Moses, "Get out of my sight. Make sure you do not appear before me again. The day you see my face, you will die." "Just as you say," Moses replied, "I will never appeal before you again." Ooh, told. You were told. Plague of the firstborn. Interesting. Tonight and tomorrow, we're going to be talking about this last. We're going to close on this tonight, and we're going to talk about it more tomorrow. Considering the connotations of the birth of Christ and what the purpose of him was, and what the celebration of Passover was, because this all comes part of this plague, this specific plague, the plague that's going to hit him right in the gut. Man, this is a knockout blow. It would be for me, but you have now tempted your luck. You have pressed your luck and pressed your advantage to the Lord, that he is a patient and righteous being that does not wish to see pain befall people who are good. You don't want to be good. You want to be Pharaoh. You want to be yourself. You want to do whatever you want to do. You want to hold the Israelites as slaves. You want to oppress them. You want to berate them and mistreat them. What is God going to do when you're doing this to his chosen tribe, the blessed ones, right? This is not a wise move. This is not a good take. This is a terrible strategy. So now we live here. He's kicked Moses out and threatened to kill him the next time he sees him. Now the Lord had said to Moses, I will bring one more plague on Pharaoh and on Egypt. After that, he will let you go from here. And when he does, he will drive you out completely. Tell the people that men and women alike are to ask their neighbors for articles of silver and gold. The Lord made the Egyptians favorably disposed towards the people. And Moses himself was highly regarded in Egypt by Pharaoh's officials and by the people. Probably fairly favorably were disposed because they're scared out of their mind about what plague is going to happen next. So yeah, take all my money, please. Don't bring another plague. Those locusts were terrible, but the gnats were disgusting as well. And I really just missed the taste of good food and clean water. Clean water. So Moses said, This is what the Lord says. About midnight, I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn son in Egypt will die. From the firstborn son of Pharaoh who sits on the throne to the firstborn son of the female slave who is at her handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle as well. There will be a loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than there has ever been or ever will be again. But among the Israelites, not a dog will bark at any person or animal. Then you will know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. All these officials of yours will come to me, bowing down before me, saying, Go, you and all the people who follow you. After that, I will leave. Then Moses, hot with anger, left Pharaoh. I wonder if he said that before he got sent away. The Lord had said to Moses, Pharaoh will refuse to listen to you, so that my wonders may be multiplied in Egypt. Moses and Aaron performed all these wonders before Pharaoh, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites go out of this country. We're gonna close there. Live that as a little bit of cliffhanger. What's God gonna do? What is God gonna do? God's gonna do exactly what He said He was gonna do because that's what God does. He's very open about it. He's not deceptive at all. I'm gonna do this right now. Like that parent, you know what's gonna happen. You know this punishment's coming. You know I'm not gonna let you get cross that line. This is your red line. This is your final warning. Let the people go. And he's not. So we'll close on that. And tomorrow we'll do the chapter 12 and we'll pick up there and we'll find out if God really going to back up his words like we any of us doubt that he is. And what sets here is the example that will be um, followed by Christ in many ways. Um, the plagues are a big deal, you guys. This is God going toe to or a an attempt of a very powerful ancient civilization attempting to go toe to toe with God when God gives a command. He is not here to broker a truce or negotiate. You're not Abraham. You're not here to negotiate. What you are here to do is do what you're told, and that's let the Hebrews go out, and you didn't. You didn't, despite and all the treatises, all the signs that said, "Don't do it," or I'm sorry, "Don't be disobedient," and yet you chose to. And what's going to happen to you as a result? We'll find out tomorrow when we talk about it some more. In the meantime, guys, it's always a pleasure. And I hope you guys find this fulfilling. This is one of the better. To me, this is one of the better readings, but I haven't got the viewership that I want. Still working on that, guys. This channel is a work in progress, but I am determined. I am determined to see it succeed. You guys, I hope you're having a great week before Christmas. I hope you're getting in. You've got plans to spend time with family members, friends, or loved ones, with somebody. And we'll talk some more about Christmas as we get closer to it. In the meantime, guys, be safe. Pray. I'll be praying for you, and I love you all. Godspeed and God bless. Good night.